the secret court of God's felicity. Affirming in life a hidden ecstasy, it held the spirit to its miraculous course, carrying immortal values to the hours. It justified the labor of the suns. For one was there, supreme behind the God. A mother might brooded upon the world. A consciousness revealed its marvelous front, transcending all that is, denying none. Imperishable above our fallen heads, he felt a rapturous and unstumbling force. The undying truth appeared, the enduring power of all that here is made and then destroyed. The mother of all Godheads and all strengths, who mediatrix binds earth to the supreme.
So, welcome everyone. Let us start. So today I thought we can take this prayer up. It's a I felt very practically relevant prayer. Again, can be implemented much in our day-to-day life. And let's see, I think should be nice to go through this again. So we have taken this prayer up earlier, but again, as we are revisiting these prayers, so we take this again. And what happens, as all of us may have observed, that when we go through these prayers again and again and again and again, especially which resonate with us, our day-to-day lives a lot, what happens that when we are in the middle of something and we have a possibility of making a higher choice, this prayer or one line or something will come to us, and then it reminds us that we have a possibility, we have a choice. So rather than going down, we can take the road up. So that's how I think going through again and again, repeating these prayers is very helpful.
Monica, first of all, thank you so much for this Taradis Savitri. So much. It's Taradis, no?
Yes. This is the link that I had earlier shared, Spotify link. Where
can you share it again, Monica?
Yeah, I can share it. Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. You know, I couldn't open my eyes. It was
it's really
beautiful.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah,
and these, the ones that we were listening to, they are the 4 aspects of the mother taken in from Savitri.
Yeah, adoration of the Divine Mother, right?
Yeah, so Maheshwari, Mahasaraswati, all these aspects. Yes, what were you saying?
No, just now you were sharing that, if we go on repeating these prayers again and again, it just one line comes. For me, it came last week also, don't torment yourself. No, that comes to me very often. Thank you so much.
Very true. I also resonate with that one a lot. Yes. True.
Yeah, I just wanted to share before
Yeah.
the session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. So we'll take this one up today. And first, maybe we go through this prayer and then we can take up any lines that we resonate with and anything that comes up in our being. So, would anyone want to read out the whole prayer for us? November 29, 1913.
Yes, ma'am.
I read.
Yes,
Yeah.
you please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read, Monica.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Can you just zoom it a little bit? Reading from the mobile, no?
Now, is it okay? Better? I've zoomed in. Huh?
Okay, thank you. Yeah. November 29th, 1913. Why all this noise, all this movement, this vain and futile agitations? Why this whirlwind carrying men away like a swarm of flies caught in a storm? How sad is the sight of all that wasted energy, all those useless efforts. When will they stop dancing like puppets on a string, pulled they know not by whom or what? When will they find time to sit quietly and go within, to recollect themselves and open their inner door which screens from them which screens from them thy priceless treasures, thy infinite boons? How sorrowful and miserable seems to me their life of ignorance and obscurity, their life of mad agitation and unprofitable dispersion. When one single spark of thy sublime light, one single drop of thy divine love can transform this suffering into an ocean of delight. O Lord, my prayer soars towards thee. May they know at last thy peace and that calm and irresistible strength which comes of an immutable serenity, the privilege of those whose eyes have been opened and who are able to contemplate thee in the flaming core of their being. But the hour of thy manifestation is come, and soon hymns of gladness will burst forth on every side. Before the solemnity of this hour, I bow down in devotion.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So I think the historical aspect of this prayer we had taken up earlier a couple of times when we were doing each prayer in detail. But today I would maybe uh, suggest that if we can take it in a more like day to day, how we can make the best use of this hints and clues that Mother has given in this prayer for our day to day life. So, any reflections, any lines that you are resonating with, you're welcome to share. Yeah. So today, I think why I chose this prayer was because we see it in ourselves, day to day life. If we observe our mind, if we are attentive to what's happening in the being, we see that even not wantingly, there is a lot of noise in the mind. And as in we were reading in a couple of prayers before that this subconscious chatter and also the active noise, we begin to get aware of it more when we are trying to actively work with the mind. So one is trying to silence the mind, calm the mind, not engage in these thoughts. Then actually we become more aware that yes, these things are there and actually not there, just there, but they are just crowding the whole mind space. So in that context, I related very much And that's why I took this prayer for today, because it's there, it's our life, it's our day-to-day life, that we have noise in the being. And mother says that why all this noise, all this movement, this vain and futile agitation? And all of us, I'm sure, have experience and good taste of this agitation, which is just as if it's constantly there in the background, if one is aware of it. And the more we engage less with this agitation, the more we benefit actually. For example, you notice a lot of noise in the background and all the conceptions and perceptions that mind keeps on making about all the sensory input, क्या सुना, किसने क्या बोला, उसके बारे में पूरा a train of thoughts is there, and you are not actively doing it, but it just comes back to back, tha 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 tha, like a train comes. And when we don't want to now entertain it, then either we remember, say, Mother Shri Aurobindo, or we focus on our breath, and we are trying to now relax the being and be present and not get lost in the flow of thoughts. Then we realize that actually it is an active process, it's an active effort that has to be done. So before we become effortless in this way of life, we have to put a lot of effort, because usual way of life is a lot of agitation, excitement, disappointment, the up and down, and the sways that we usually are accustomed to. So I could resonate with this a lot when mother says that why this whirlwind carrying men away like a swarm of flies caught in a storm, as if they have no control over it. And that is our life. That we have no control over our reactions to the outer triggers. That is where the effort has to be put, once we realize through our life experiences that it's not the best possible way. How sad is the sight of all that wasted energy, all those useless efforts. And we will see that in that agitation, we make a lot of useless efforts. We are just trying agitatedly, to do something actively, to run after some name or some respect or some better opportunity. And we do it in a lot of agitation, mostly, that kuch reh na jaye, kuch chook na jaye. While the best thing is, again, as in every prayer mother shares later, which we'll come to maybe later. So mother says, how sad is the sight of that wasted energy, because we are thinking that it is taking us somewhere, but actually the center from which we are operating, it's just going round and round, in agitation. So how sad is the sight of all that wasted energy, all those useless efforts. When will they stop dancing like puppets on a string, pulled they know not by whom or what? So I can tell myself this, that when will I stop dancing like a puppet on a string, pulled by I don't know whom and what? Anything comes and sways me, anything is ready to disturb me. And there was once a talk by Pradyuman, Acharya Pradyuman, where he was sharing that the one difference between a true sadhak or a yogi or the beings of ordinary consciousness is that a Buddha, for example, once he touches suffering, he says that no, I can't live like this. I don't want to torment myself like this, and he goes to the root of suffering. He just now is at it. But us, I think usually it takes us a lot of life experiences before we realize that no, I don't want this torment, as Sharda ji was sharing from the other prayer, that I have the choice that I don't want to torment myself. So the crowd of suggestions may be there, the mental formations in the background owing to their past momentum, they may be there in the background, but you are not actively entertaining them now. You are just ingathering yourself either on a divine name, doing something constructive, and maybe distracting even in a loftier, higher distraction, doing some selfless work somewhere, and totally negating, as mother says in many prayers, self abnegation, self forgetfulness. because we see that there is no end to this. There is no end to engaging in the thoughts and chatter about me and my story and my life, and I should get the best, and you know what is happening in my life and other person's life. There is no end to it, and it's a lot of agitation. So we have to slowly, through, I feel, through my life experiences, I have to lose the taste for that agitation, that nothing in my being wants to respond to the high and the the thrill and whatever that comes through these outer excitations. So in terms of looking at our older life, how we used to live, it appears a little neutral. It begins to appear a little neutral. At times also, from the outer perspective, it may actually look at times like dull. It may give an appearance of dull. I'm not saying that it will always, but at times it may also appear dull. But we are just developing a new taste of not always being thrown up high in the air and thrown down in the bottomless dungeon, but rather maintaining a state of equanimity. And yeah, again, Sri Aurobindo shares that it is the soul consciousness where we have the true equanimity. And Jetsunma also shares about her own Lama, Kamtrul Rinpoche, that there was something that they were sharing with the Lama, and they were sharing that now this is going to happen, with lots of excitement. And the Lama was just unmoved, and she said that I knew that whatever, even the tragic most situation we may give to that Lama, and he would be still unaltered, like a strong mountain standing and going through every little and even bigger happenings of life. So slowly, I think it's a gradual process for all of us, that we gain strength within and lose the taste of getting moved again and again by so-called atomic things which appear so big, and they either take us high up there or send us down there. Yeah. So keep sharing if there is anything at any point of time. So we can ask ourselves, I think it's a very good mantra for us, like Shardaji shared, don't torment thyself, my child, peace, peace, peace. That's also a mantra that we can use. And this is also a mantra that whenever next time we see ourselves being moved like a puppet, we can tell ourselves, when will I stop dancing like a puppet? That anything and everything that comes, it just moves me so much. When will they find time to sit quietly and go within, to recollect themselves and open that door, inner door, which screens from them thy priceless treasures, thy infinite boons. So this is what we were talking in, I think, yesterday's session, when we were talking about these emptiness or loneliness. At times we feel these phases, and they are nothing but a screen. And there is something after that screen which is waiting to reveal itself. But if we don't stay with that curtain for some time, then there is no chance of that curtain opening. So from time to time, we have these phases in our life, as if there is a blankness and emptiness and loneliness. And either we can distract ourselves with the older patterns or older entertainments, or we can stay with it. And as Mother says, wait, until that door opens. That curtain is let go of. But for that, we have to sit. We have to not only sit outwardly, that also is a nice practice, but also inwardly, whether we are in the active, sway of life, but inwardly, I am ingathered. And this is an effort that we have to make. It requires effort. We need energy for that. It's not a passive thing that it will just kind of happen, and I can just let the older patterns run. And we actively make a choice not to engage in the older patterns and make a choice to ingather myself. So when will they find time to sit quietly and go within. And this can be done anywhere. I see that, I'm sure all of us experience this also, and practice this in our life, that whether I am driving, I am walking, we are doing mechanical things, like maybe, for some people, walking may be mechanical, or cooking, or whatever, taking care of, tidying up the home. And ingathered state can be still maintained. You can continue to remember the mother, do a japa inside, so that the mind is not scattered, rather than it is ingathered, and it stays firmly ingathered, so that that inner door which screens from us the priceless treasures and infinite boons, we are sitting next to that door, and it opens. To each his own, whenever it has the right time to open, but it will open. So to use those empty pockets of our time, I feel it's good, and to keep looking at the mind. Where is the mind running now? And when it runs, to bring it back either to mother's presence, Sri Aurobindo's presence, and settle it there. I think that is really a big relief, and mother talks about that later, when she gives us the remedy. Yeah, so anything on the first paragraph, anyone?
Yeah, Monica ji, Jishnu here. This reminded me one sentence which Sri Aurobindo said, that live within, do not be impacted by outer circumstances. And Mother, I was recently reading about will, and primarily will, and then Mother said, without will, we are just like a mass of jellyfish. Typically, what she is saying here, just a mass of jellyfish, just moving like a cork in water, directionless, without understanding what is happening to us. And even then she said that to will truly, she said that we think that we are offering ourselves to divine, but what are we offering? If we want to listen to the divine, but we are not able to, because we have different parts, and we are under the influence of these worldly forces, which means we do not have a will, or we do not have a concrete character of our own. And then she's saying, so what will you offer to the divine? Probably you want, but you are not capable. Till you can develop a will of your own, and which is done by naturally reflection, by opening oneself to the higher forces, through inner growth, and through understanding that I mean, whatever the world is offering, these outer forces, how to differentiate, how to be conscious of them, that how we are acting. Are we acting based on the impulse coming from outside, or we are inspired from something higher or coming from inside? This discernment, this differentiation is the beginning, and slowly as it grows, with constant remembrance, we keep ourselves open, and slowly we transform. So when I read this, it resonated, these lines naturally. And which mother is saying, when will they find to sit quietly, basically to reflect, to go within, to recollect themselves, and open the inner door which screams from them the priceless treasures. Even in Savitri, those beautiful lines are there. I do not recollect exactly that when this outer doors are shut, and when we are alone, and we look into the treasures within us. So that is what I remembered.
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe you're referring to these lines. When life's in moments when the inner lamps are lit.
Yeah, exactly.
This
exactly.
one? Yeah. And the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulfs. A wider consciousness opens then its doors, invading from spiritual silences. A ray of the timeless glory stoops awhile to commune with our seized, illumined clay, and leaves its huge white stamp upon our lives. I think it's the experience of all of us. I'm sure that whenever we have even 2 minutes of that true inner communion, it actually leaves a stamp. And the master Rupert Spira, he says that when the mind arises out of that inner communion, it is a different mind, it is a transformed mind. It's not the same mind that initially we started with. So like that, we keep giving new birth to ourselves and becoming always refreshed and rejuvenated uh, by being in true communion with ourselves. Rather than, we will see that when we are in communion with our chattersome thoughts, then actually that is so draining. That's not very refreshing. So for us, we can see this difference in us. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, anything more anyone wants to add on? All right, so let's and then take it further. Now mother comes slowly to the remedy also, along with the problem, as always. How sorrowful and miserable seems to me their life of ignorance and obscurity, their life of mad agitation and unprofitable dispersion. So very interesting. अगर dispersion हो तो profitable तो हो. मतलब this is like we are so foolish that we don't even see in our dispersion that it's not doing us any good. And this is what Jetsunma also shares when she talks about, she uses the word skillful and non-skillful, beneficial and not beneficial. So when we see that the older patterns of dispersion they're not helpful, then how can we continue? I think this is our foolishness and ignorance, that we continue to be like that for a very, very long time unless it begins to give us a lot of pain and suffering. Then we realize that no, this has to stop. I don't need to torment myself. So the dispersion is not even profitable. And that is where we can actually see that isme mera fayda kya hai? How am I benefited by doing repeatedly the same movements again and again? So again, I felt this was very revelatory. How sorrowful and miserable seems to me their life of ignorance and obscurity, their life of mad agitation and unprofitable dispersion. So looking at our profit, we can say that, I want to now take care of myself. I don't want to not profit myself. And whatever is not profitable, I will not engage in. So that's one kind of a promise that one does to oneself. So we know that engaging in these chattersome, worrisome thoughts and feelings, disturbing feelings, afflictions, they are not giving us any benefit whatsoever. We may use them again in the name of being human, that, I am human being and that's what I'm supposed to do, but that is not leading me anywhere. And then mother gives us the remedy. When one single spark of thy sublime light, one single drop of thy divine love can transform this suffering into an ocean of delight. So look at the power. One spark of sublime light and one drop of divine love actually makes the suffering transform into not one spark of delight, but ocean of delight. And this is why in one of the prayers, mother say that why do men flee away from these boons as if, it will bring them misery. And that's what our life is, for most of our times. Slowly we begin to evolve, but mostly what happens is that we flee away from these boons. We don't want to make this good bargain. It's like Alokda shares that as if the divine wants to give us an exchange offer. Give me all the baggage and burden and old, past whatever, and take everything new, take a new creation, take a new consciousness. But it takes us a long, long time that we become convinced that it's a good soda. Otherwise, we are not convinced. We are not ready to let go of what we are holding on to. So it's very interesting, the bargain that the divine offers, and yet we continue to reject. Like what is shared in Sri Aurobindo's poem, The Dream Boat. That something comes with a beautiful offer, but I keep saying that no, not today, not, maybe later, and it goes away. And then I'm asking, where is it? Will it come again or not? So like that, we keep turning away from what actually will give us ocean of delight. We don't make that true bargain. In Kabirji's couplets also and songs also, he shares that make the right bargain, strike the right bargain, because the bargain we make is always a foolish bargain. We give away our soul so cheaply. In Savitri, there comes a line, treasure misspent, fruitlessly sold in the bazaar of blind destiny. So we sell our souls too cheaply at times, and then we are wondering, why am I so worried and full of trouble? Yeah, so anything here, anyone? Okay. So then Mother implores, O Lord, my prayer soars towards thee. May they know at last thy peace. So again, in almost every prayer, we see Mother's attitude that whenever she connects either with her own, whatever the things that she shares, that I'm going through this, and may all this agitation be cleared away. And here Mother is talking about what she's seeing around, and yet she again connects and identifies with the whole earth consciousness and prays for the earth consciousness together. May they know at last thy peace and that calm and irresistible strength which comes of an immutable serenity, the privilege of those whose eyes have been opened. So immutable serenity and irresistible strength is privilege of those whose eyes have been opened and who are able to contemplate thee in the flaming core of their being. But the hour of manifestation, thy manifestation is come, and soon hymns of gladness will burst forth on every side. Before the solemnity of this hour, I bow down in devotion. So again, a beautiful process of ingathering ourselves whenever we are. I think this also connects me back to Tonglen, a process which we also see in Mother's meditations. A couple of prayers are very, very, very much related with the Tonglen process, where one connects with one's own pain or one's own maybe suffering of the mind or disturbing feelings, and then one connects with the whole collective consciousness that now I know that this is how I suffer, and this is how all of us suffer. So may everyone not suffer, and may everyone be able to have peace in their heart and lots of joy and progress in their life. So like that, we transform our own suffering, and we transform, do a little bit, one drop for the whole collective which we are a part of. Yeah, so any comments, anyone, any reflections?
Monica ji, Jishnu here. So one thought came to me, one word you used some time back, that when you were saying about boredom or loneliness, you used the word as if there is a veil, there is a curtain, right? And that is what it came to me. That it is not that the situation will change, But as with the prayer, as with the connection, the inner connection, the thy peace and that calm and irresistible strength which comes from an immutable serenity, the privilege of those whose eyes have been opened. And this is like the rendition of the veil or removing of the curtain, and who are able to contemplate thee in the framing core of their being. That is, who can see the divine in themselves. Mother has said that to see the divine in each one, you have to find the divine within you first. And that is what, that if somebody can see the divine in their heart, and soon hymns of gladness will burst forth in every side. They will feel that joy, that connection in anything that they touch. And once Mother said that if one has the psychic awakening, she said that even simple things like a sunset or a child's cry, I remember this sentence, will bring joy, will bring tears of joy to one's being. That is what I remember.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yes. Most of the times when we are scattered in our mind and the mind is just in loop thinking about some worry, some anxiety, whatever, we are mostly not able to stop ourselves. If one is not actively working on oneself, we are not able to stop it. And it doesn't seem unprofitable. So Mother talks about unprofitable dispersion. So it already, if in ourselves we have begun to now see this dispersion as unprofitable, I think that's already a very good step ahead, because now I will indulge in that dispersion less and less. But as long as I still see some promise in that dispersion, that सोचने से कुछ मिलने वाला है मुझे, then I will not be able to let go. We are able to let go of any non-beneficial pattern when I realize that now it is non-beneficial for me. As long as it appears very profitable and beneficial, that scattering of the thoughts and engaging in those things, then we will not be able to do that. So our life experiences actually work in that way, that they convince ourselves. Slowly we get convinced that यहाँ से नहीं मिलने वाला कुछ. They actually begin to seem now unprofitable. So then we are able to turn towards something which is profitable. As Jishnuji was pointing out, that to commune with the divine within and to maintain that relationship, or make that connection very stable and solid, that you can never ever get bored. And to have that intimate relationship with ourselves, either we can say that I am my best friend, we can again say it in any which way, or we say that the divine is my best friend, because then we never ever get bored. When we have a very deep connection with ourselves, always we have vibrancy in life, and even sad phases of our life, or the challenges of our life, because we are standing next to ourselves, we are always our best friend. We see that we can make much out of those challenges also. To be our best friend, to always stay close to ourselves, no matter periods of loneliness, emptiness, boredom. Slowly that gate begins to open when we stay close to ourselves. So may we realize when we are ever engaging in the dispersion, may we realize how unprofitable it is. That itself is one step of awakening. And instead of that, maybe we can choose something higher. Yeah, so any last comments? I think it should be good enough to stop here, although we have still time. But it would be nice if there are not any further reflection. Then it's always, I feel, nicer when we read little at one time and maybe practice more and make it a part of our life. And maybe regurgitate and ruminate over these lines by the mother. Yeah, so if there are any last comments, we can take. Yes, Jishnuji?
Yeah, Monica ji, when this reminds me what you said about the last few sentences. What reminds me that we are not mindful. Because we are not mindful, we are distracted, and we ascribe value to the things which are apparently valueless. That is what. Just give me a moment. Somebody was just checking whether I've reached home safely because of the problems. I just replied, yeah. So, because we ascribe value to the things uh, which are not valuable, and that's what they said. That there was I think, couplet that I have considered glass as diamond. I have considered glass as diamond, and that is why that's really the life is so much of suffering usually for us. And the moment we realize what is really valuable, and that is what Mother is saying, that once you remember an offer, she said, naturally it will not happen at the very beginning that you are always remembering, you are in the state of constant remembrance. But with the beginning, with this light opening up, what happens is you constantly have the remembrance of what your goal is. Most of the things what we are doing is forgetfulness. We are forgetful. We forget our goals. We forget even material development. I'm saying material progress. We forget what is our real duty and goal. Because, as per this Buddhist philosophy, because we are engaged in promote, we are engaged in entertainment and distraction. And that is exactly this, all the spiritual practices of mindfulness, of japa, of pranayam, of this chanting bells, is that to remind us what our goal is. And once we actually remember them, then after that, committing stupidities is knowingly we are committing. Accepting to be weak, that's a different thing. But people who want to be sincere, they can always, it acts as a reminder that whether this step is taking me towards my goal or it is taking me away from there.
Absolutely, yes, yes. What you were sharing actually reminded me of this line from Savitri. Lately only we had done. I'll just bring it up. This one, that we ascribe wrong importance, or we are not able to see things as they are. So here, when in the book of Yoga of Ashwapati, he shares here, Sri Aurobindo, that when this heightening of consciousness and widening of consciousness is happening, illusion lost her aggrandizing lens, as from her failing hand the measures fell. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large. So now, things are not like, oh, this happened. And as you were sharing, that we ascribe a wrong value to things that happen in our lives. But when one grows in consciousness, or maybe grows deeper in the soul consciousness, we see that then we are not swayed by any these kind of little triggers that keep on swaying us, and they appear so big, like oh my god, that person said that to me. So atomic looked the things that loomed so large. That reminded me of that line. So yes, any last comments, anyone, before we end? Suggestions or thoughts? Okay, so in that case, maybe we'll take a moment of silence to dedicate and share the merit collected by these reflections, satsangs. All the merit may it be shared with all the sentient beings near and far. May our hearts be at peace, And may all of us gather enough courage and strength to go deeper within and have a true communion with our own self. May we grow from strength into a greater strength, all of us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.